on that. Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Fort Wayne Community School Board of Trustees. I wanted to show off my Fort Wayne Community School mask, but we are social distance, so I'm going to take that off. Of course, due to the pandemic, no members of the public or the media are going to be permitted in the Greil Administration Center for this meeting, but the meeting is available to the public both on Comcast, Channel 54, Frontier, Channel 54, and streamed live on our Fort Wayne Community School Facebook page, which reminds me to put my phone on silent. If anyone else has failed to do that as I did, you may do so now. Also, this is on our LTV 2454 Fort Wayne Community School YouTube channel. So we begin, as we do each meeting, with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Glenna Yale, 2nd District.
Tom Smith, 3rd District.
Ann Duff, Member at Large.
Maria Norman, Member at Large.
And I'm Julie Hollingsworth, elected from District 1. Joining us is our Clerk of the Board, Janet Doherty. Good afternoon. And our Superintendent, Dr. Wendy Robinson, is probably watching from home. So good afternoon, Dr. Robinson. So we have one item of new business, and that is selection of a superintendent and approval of the superintendent contract. It's recommended that the board approve the selection of a superintendent, approve the final superintendent contract for employment, and award the final contract for employment. In June of 2019, this board began its search for the next Fort Wayne Community School superintendent with a training session given by Michael Adamson of the Indiana School Boards Association. Last fall, the board took proposals from 4 search firms and selected Hazard Young Attia, or HYA, to assist in this search process. In December, HYA held 3 public meetings and many small group meetings of both internal and external shareholders to survey the community as to the characteristics desired of the next superintendent, as well as input regarding the future direction of Fort Wayne Community Schools. The report to the board and the community was at a public meeting, and this helped determine the desired qualifications of candidates and guided the board in its search. In March 2020, just as schools were closed statewide, the board met to receive from HYA its slate of top candidates qualified for the position. Throughout April, the board held virtual interviews of 6 candidates in a first round, followed by virtual interviews of 3 finalists. Speaking for the board, it is our one regret in this process that we lost the advice and input of our friend and colleague, Jordan Levimoff, who passed away in early March. I believe he would be proud of the work that we have done. On May 18th, at a 6 p.m. public hearing, we received public comment on the terms and conditions of a proposed superintendent contract for employment. 7 days later, by Indiana law, we meet to approve a final superintendent contract for employment and award the final contract for employment. When this is completed, a copy of the approved, final, and awarded contract for employment will be posted on the Fort Wayne Community School website. So we need a motion.
Sure.
And
Madam
a
Chair,
second. Steve?
I would move that the Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of Trustees selects Dr. Mark Daniel to be the next superintendent of Fort Wayne Community Schools, that the board approves the final contract of employment, and that the board awards the final contract for employment to Dr. Mark Daniel.
I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Tom. Any comments?
I happen to have a little time on my hands this week, and I went back and pulled out our file and took a look at the information that we gathered from the public. We heard from 1,281 people, either in meetings or online, and what we wanted to know was, who should we hire? And so the top-rated leadership profile characteristics came out this way. 1, there were 5 primary points. Foster a positive professional climate of mutual trust and respect among faculty, staff, and administrators. Number 2, demonstrate a deep understanding of educational research and emerging best practices. Number 3, hire good people, recruit, employ, and retain effective personnel throughout the district and our schools. Establish a culture of high expectation for our students and personnel. And finally, provide transparent communication. Those were the 5 characteristics that played out as we heard time and again from our people. We're not going to find everything in any person, but we think we found most of those characteristics and qualities in Dr. Daniel.
Any other comments?
I would just like to say that as we entered this very important process, I was skeptical at first about the quality of the candidates who might apply. And I was very pleasantly surprised because we had an abundance of candidates who were very, very, very well qualified. And so then the problem was how do you choose from so many people who are so well qualified? And there were a number of candidates we could have been very proud to have. So I'm just going to say that I think we did our due diligence. We had an overwhelming response from various people who were interested, and we narrowed it down to someone who I have great confidence in being able to take our school district to the next level.
Well, my number one choice was Mark from the very beginning. I don't know, he did a great job. Are you going to make some comments? Okay, well then I might have a few things to say to you. I don't want to steal any of your thunder. So I just want to say, folks, you're watching and listening here, this is going to be a good, great, wonderful superintendent.
Thanks, Tom.
I, like Steve, pulled up some old documents because Julie made us list the pros and cons for each candidate, and I had a long list of pros for Mark. I think one of the things that I liked, of course, that he's a Northside grad, but he has not spent all his time in Fortin Community Schools, so he's been in different school districts, see how other people do things, and it's great to have him come back in this community. It's obviously that he's stayed abreast on what Fortin Community Schools has been doing, which is a plus. He presented us his 100-day plan when he does begin, and he obviously knows who to talk to listen to, our stakeholders, including teachers, parents, community members, community organizations. Another thing that I did like about Mark was that he mentioned he liked giving freedom to teachers to create lesson plans, to be innovative, give them ownership of what they do in their classroom. That coupled with the fact that he has other programs, he's done it especially at the high school level, freshman mentoring, just creative about what you can do at the high school level and changing it up a little bit. So lots of pluses on my side. I won't even, got more I could say, but welcome.
Thanks, Ann. Maria?
Well, like Ann mentioned, I feel like this is just a feel-good story for our community, which we definitely need right now. I think that it's great that we have a Fort Wayne teacher coming back home. And so I think that the thing that I look forward to most is Dr. Daniels knows where we've been and how we got there, but then he can also lead the charge forward. So we have some big hurdles in front of us and lots of changes coming. So just excited to see how we move forward. So welcome.
Yeah, and I would echo all of my colleagues' comments. I think Dr. Daniel has a very broad experience from being a teacher in the classroom for 11 years, a high school principal, a superintendent at 2 different districts, so he's made this transition before. The Fort Wayne Community School connection and local connection, obviously, and one thing that I note from his record is that he's proven he has proven success in collaborating with teachers and students and parents, administrators, and business and community leaders. And I think with a lot of the issues facing us, I think those skills are going to be important. I would like to just take this opportunity to thank some people. Right from the beginning, Rod Grathke, who is our Director of Purchasing, helped us write the proposals for the search firms. Jen Atienzo Fisher put together a page, which is still there for prospective employees on our website. And if you haven't checked it out, it's really got some nice links to it, not only links about the community, but links about our district, and the good information there. Krista Stockman our Public Information Officer, has helped me immensely trying to organize all of this, as has Janet Doherty, the clerk of the board. I've called on various people at different times. I know I've talked to David about some things, and Kathy Friend about some things, Charles Kamek. The most impressive thing, again, is that anyone that works for Fort Wayne Community Schools was willing to step up and help out the board. I would like to thank also our board attorney for his advice and counsel, Bruce Boxberger. I'd like to thank our Zoom coordinator, Maria Norman, and Ann Duff, our note taker and finder of all things on the internet.
Yes.
And the rest of my colleagues. One of the greatest benefits, I think, of this process is the open, honest, even though it was virtual, conversations we had, about our district, about what we wanted to see in a superintendent, and the kind of challenges we have in our future. I also would like to thank Dr. Robinson. She never once asked me anything about the search. She kept radio silence. There were at times when I had questions for her about the process, and she was always always gave me helpful information. But other than that, it was, she obviously had a big job to do, and but let the board do its work. So, unless there are any other comments, Tom?
A number of us mentioned, your history here in Fort Wayne. Maybe you'll talk about that a little bit. But, you bring to my mind the great state song about Indiana, Back Home Again in Indiana. And I want to welcome you home. So glad to have you here. Thank you very much.
Okay, so all those who approve the selection of Dr. Mark Daniel as next Fort Wayne Community School Superintendent, and approve the final superintendent contract for employment, and award the final contract to Dr. Daniel, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Well, it is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Mark Daniel to the podium and address us and the community. Welcome.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the board. Virtual interviewing is a difficult process.
Yes.
And, you don't get to see us in person, so you don't see that 80 to 90% of the nonverbals that are happening. And I could tell, though, you are a special board, you support each other, and you have a common goal, and that's what can we do to better our educational program for our kids in Fort Wayne, specifically in Fort Wayne Community Schools. So again, I'm humbled. I take great pride in being your superintendent. And again, I look forward to our time together, working to solve our problems, or should I say our opportunities, to advance the educational programs in Fort Wayne. I also would be remiss if I did not mention Dr. Wendy Robinson. She's an icon. She's nationally recognized as a leader of education, public education. And I always say, you don't replace a person, you merely stand on her shoulders. And we go forward, again, as you said, how do we continue to improve? And how do we continue to advance our programming and again assist students? So for Dr. Robinson, again, thank you for your years of service. and I would wish her the best in her retirement, and please do not be, please remember us and be available as needed, because I'm sure there'll be opportunities for you to step in. Now, with that said, I also have some guests with me tonight. So I have my wife, Janet. She is here, as well as one of my daughters, Sierra. Sierra's a teacher at Chicago Public Schools, and very proud of what she does on a daily basis, and how she teaches in her classroom and really forms that strong relationship and bonds with her kids. She's a special ed teacher as well as EL. And she teaches in a building that's roughly 98% Latino. So I'll tell you, it's very rewarding hearing her and seeing what she's doing to help kids. Also, my wife's an educator as well. She's a guidance counselor. When we did move, we did take her away from that career, I'm sorry to say, because I think she was an excellent guidance counselor as well, and she's also a mental health therapist. So we do have 3 other daughters. 3 of them have graduated from Fort Wayne Community Schools, and all are, I would say, very successful in what they do, and I'm very proud of that. So it must be the mother. She's done an excellent job. So with that said, also, I think there are 3 guiding rules that I try to follow in leadership. The first is be honest. Be honest in what you do, be honest in what you're saying, because that builds trust. And trust will be the building block as we work with the cabinet, and we had a chance to meet a little bit earlier. I'm very excited about working with each and every one of you. And as such, once we have that honesty and trust, then we can move to the area of there will be issues. There will be things that we have to decide, is this best? And I always will lie, and I can always look myself in the mirror and say, we're doing this for kids, it's the right decision. And then also, as we look at how do you support your system? We may have, I will say, discussion, and sometimes it may become rather heated. But once we are finished with that discussion, we leave that table together, knowing that we're going out and we're representing Fort Wayne Community Schools, we're representing the board, we're representing our system. And I think if we do those 3 things, we'll do very well, and we'll continue to do very well. So you did mention my first 100 days. I do plan on visiting most buildings. Now, of course, with COVID-19, that might be a little bit different, but I am looking forward to sitting down with each of our principals. And I know that's quite the task, but Janet, you'll help me with that, hopefully, scheduling all those. I think it's important to bond and have those relationships and know where principals are, what are their goals, what are their objectives, and how does that meet the mission and the vision of Fort Wayne Community Schools. I also look forward to the opportunity of sitting down with students. I think students are a wonderful, wonderful vehicle to hear and tap into as far as what's working, what's not working, how can we better ourselves. So I'm looking for the student voice. And you've already mentioned as well, teacher voice. Great amount of research, and coming from Normal, Illinois State University, been part of principal leadership and training of principals. Principals can tremendously influence the culture and what happens in a building to about 35 to 40%. But also teachers influence that other 55 to 60% to 65%. So you need the combination. And again, teacher voice, teacher empowerment, using the PLC, professional learning community type structure as we do already. But again, how do you make that even a better system? So I'm looking forward to those first 100 days, also looking forward to being with you as a board, to looking at what are our goals, what are our objectives as a district, but then also turning to cabinet and spending time with cabinet on an individual basis and looking at how we can build that trust and that camaraderie of working together to fulfill the vision and mission of our district. So those are very important things, no doubt about it. But I wouldn't be here if I didn't have people that I truly stood on their shoulders. So people like Dan Howe, my principal at Northside High School when I was a student, but also the principal when I became a teacher. And he really influenced me and said, Mark, you really need to go in education. So I did so after I had a business degree and worked in business for a couple of years. But also, I look at Dr. Gardner, who was there when I was a teacher, and his influence of being steady and understanding school improvement and understanding working in teams and with groups and involving community parents and community members definitely had a strong influence. Those years teaching at Northside had a tremendous influence on me, and I still value that time so immensely, and I'm so appreciative. So I want to send that out to those individuals. I also can talk about Ron Flickinger, who was so involved in guidance and CTE structure. And also, as I look at my own partners in the math department, like Mr. Lovell, I still have to call him Mr. Lovell, Mr. Lovell. And then you look at other departments and the passion, and you know of LaFontaine and her passion for foreign language. And it was not the foreign language that brought you in the classroom, it was that passion and the love of the language. And it was just so encompassing and so motivating. So those are people that I look to today in those early years of my profession. And then I go to administrative career. And I look at a Margaret Catter. Margaret Catter, who taught me culture is everything in the building. You work on culture, and you work on developing that, not just with the administrative team, but with the teachers, with the students, and then how do you reach out to your greater community? And you make the community truly want this institution to be the best that it can possibly be. I also look at people like Judy Van Fossen, who said, Mark, traditional is not what's best for our students here. How can we look outside that box and think about that, as she would say, that 30,000 foot view? What is really best for kids, and how can kids get involved in internships? How can kids get involved in CTE programs? And I'm talking about the valedictorians and salutatorians as well as students that may not be valedictorians, because each student is truly important, and each student should have a meaningful future plan upon graduation, and that's up to us to ensure that happens. Therefore, when you piece these things together, now you have graduation rates that go from 88% up to 98%, because students are truly engaged. And I think that's very, very important that we continue to do those things. I also would say, as I look at my experiences with superintendents, my experience in East Allen County Schools, I had a couple of superintendents that taught me, first of all, you need to be client-centered and student-centered. Before that was the phrase or the motto. Yes, we are in the business of assisting and working with kids, and that's who you need to satisfy. Who do you also satisfy, though? You satisfy parents, and you satisfy the greater community, and you become this living organization that truly is now causing economic growth, causing people who want to reside in Fort Wayne and come to Fort Wayne area. I think that's so very, very important. As well, I look at Dr. Novotny, who taught me that you need to also understand about relationships, and you need to take time to develop those relationships. And she was one of those individuals that said, you know what, you can do this, again, you can make that happen, and that's not one of my strengths. So she helped me grow in that area and spend the time in not just doing, but also celebrating. And I think that's an important piece as well. So then I moved to my current experiences that I've had in regards to a couple other districts. One district in Southwest Michigan was my first experience, well, I'll say, where 80 to 85% of the students are low income. And we had the largest migrant population, or second largest migrant population in the state of Michigan. That brings you to a better understanding. You have to experience that to truly understand it. And as such, what that told me was this. There's not a single parent who doesn't want their child to be successful. It is our business to make that happen. Let's get to that business. And let's provide those opportunities for kids so they can see success and they can be successful. And most importantly, we're not dream killers. We are people that supply kids and funnel kids and support kids, so we provide hope. And I think that's so critical, especially in this time period with COVID. It's that ability to provide hope. And yes, there's going to be a better future. And then I turn to my current experience in Central Illinois, and that's understanding that they're going from a smaller district to, I'll say, a much larger district, one of the large unit districts in Illinois. And that is, you need to understand that you're now not a person who's going to be in the weeds. You're not going to be the person that has to intervene. You are truly a CEO, and you are relying on your cabinet, and you're relying on your support systems and you're always looking at systems. How do we improve systems? And I think with that knowledge and that experience, I think I am, as you have voted, I believe I will do my, I will seek to do my very best to provide the best service to you as a board, to my cabinet, to our teachers, but most importantly to our kids in our community. So with that said, I want to thank you again. I look forward to this opportunity. I don't know, Tom, if I mentioned anything they might have a question on, but again, I'm very, very proud and I'm very humbled. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we'll have plenty of time later, I think, for conversation and question and answers, so I don't know if we need to put you on the spot now. I don't think anybody's got any burning issues that need to be addressed, so, but thank you, welcome. We know there'll be a transition period, and I know that that'll probably be the next step, is beginning to arrange that with Dr. Robinson and her team, but
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
so are we. Thank you. Okay, well, that brings us to the close of our meeting. We next meet for a regular meeting on Monday, June 8th. So, and I'm not quite sure, I don't know if we know at this point whether that will be here or whether that will be, I don't know. We'll deal with that. We'll deal with that later. So, board member comments before we adjourn.
Sure. Two quick things. Just wanted to note the passing of a former leader in our district, Frank Hauk. I believe was a principal at Southside High School, but I knew Frank. We're both Gary boys. He was the star quarterback at Horace Mann High School, and we played at Lew Wallace. And Frank went on to college and quarterbacked at Ball State, and then came to Fort Wayne Community Schools and had a great career here. So we note his passing. You know, the other thought, I'm so delighted that we have Dr. Daniel to lead our district effective July 1, but it's a bittersweet day. As I was getting out of the car today, I just took a moment and thought about the terrific leadership we've had under Dr. Robinson and her lifelong connection to the district, and we're certainly going to miss her. She brought credibility back to this school district during her tenure, when people shied away from moving into our district to a time where people can't wait to buy a home in Fort Wayne Community Schools. She's developed a great team. You're going to have a great team to support you in your efforts going forward, Dr. Daniel. This is also a terrifying time in world history. We're nearing 100,000 deaths in our country. Don't know what our world is going to be like, but I know this, that based upon what we know of what you've done, Mark, and your approach to life and being really entrepreneurial, this really is an opportunity to reshape education, and it's going to require fresh approaches to what we've done, because the new normal is something that we create. And so I don't know when we're going to get back to school, but it doesn't matter that when that day is, because we need to be ready for whatever that new normal is. And I'm so glad that you're going to be our superintendent in Fort Wayne Community Schools as we move forward. So welcome back to town.
No comment.
Thanks, Glenna.
Just
Tom?
welcome aboard.
Oh, did you have something?
No.
You know, well, you are coming into Fort Wayne at just a great time. We're on such a streak of wins in this community. You've seen it, our downtown, Promenade Park, just how things are going and growing here. And it's all really happened in the last 10 to 15 years. And, you know, you're coming in new, and I think you're going to fit right in well with this upsurge, this pride we have in our community. There is great pride in this community for our school system. It's one of the best. It's one of the strongest attractions to bring people to our community and to keep them here. And from everything I've heard you say, you are going to fit right in with this, and you're going to have a hell of a good time.
Nan?
I have no comments.
Maria?
I just want to say, as we wrap up the school year, which seemed kind of different this year. I just, again, wanted to say thank you so much to all of the food service workers, all of our teachers for, I mean, all of our worlds were flipped upside down on March 13th, and I think everybody did a tremendous job with regard to supporting our students and supporting our teachers. So thank you so much to the principals who've supported all of our teachers, and I know we had desk clean out pickup, and so thank you to all of those teachers who went in and packed up desk and workbooks, and we had an overdue book, so we had a fee to pay, so that was taken care of as well. And this is a scary time, like as Steve said, but I know in my heart that we are the best district in Northeast Indiana, and our teachers and our administrators care deeply for our students. And so I want to say wholeheartedly and confidently, I know that when our students come back in the fall, that they will be safe, and we will do our best to keep everyone safe. So I know that with CDC guidelines that came out, I think everyone's head started to spin. But I know, and I have full faith in our team, that we aren't going to do anything to put anyone's child in harm's way, and that we're going to do our best to keep everyone safe. So just want to encourage everyone to do the online enrollment for fall. That's now open, so you can head to the website and do that. And finally, I just want to say congratulations to all of our 2020 graduates. Graduation is literally my favorite time of the year. I just remember my family being so excited, and being so excited myself as a graduate, but just the pride that the families feel for the graduates. It's so exciting to share in those moments. And so I can't wait to share those experiences, the graduation parades. I'm going to be at as many as possible, and so I'll be there to cheer you on. So congratulations to those graduates and families. And just want to say to Dr. Robinson, this is a crazy way to go out, isn't it? It's quite the go out with a bang kind of thing. And I know that we've had conversations about it, and I am really glad that she was here through this event, because she brought so much wisdom and vision and sense of calm through this uncharted experience that we've all lived through together. So my hat's off to her, and just wanted to say thank you for all of the years and dedication that she's put into our district. So.
Thanks, Maria.
Yep.
I'd also like to thank, when we started this whole superintendent search process, Steve, obviously, was the only one of us who had ever gone through anything like that. And so I think one of the best decisions we made early on was to hire a search firm. And so I wanted to thank Jim Morse and Connie Collins for their advice and steering us through the whole process. It certainly was interesting. On March 13th, when school closed, I'd never heard of a Zoom meeting. I didn't even know what it was. And
Zumba class.
exactly, yeah, some new dance or something. But I think Steve joined us virtually when we met on March 16th. That first time, that was new to me, and I feel like a veteran now. This is unusual to go back to face-to-face meeting. Who are these people? But thanks to my colleagues, I think another important decision I think we made is when the pandemic hit and we had to close school, that we decided to move forward, not to delay.
Right.
And that's, we maintained our schedule even though it was virtual, and I think that ended up being probably the most important decision that we made.
Yeah.
Again, thanks to all our staff and teachers for everything that you've done, and parents, the new teachers, over the past couple months. This was not anything that any of us were really prepared for, but we certainly have learned a lot, and knowledge that we can put to good use. And congratulations to Dr. Daniel. We look forward to working with you. So,
Move for
we have a
adjournment?
okay.
Second.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Thanks, Glenna. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Never happens. Okay.